Yes, so the first talk will be delivered by Professor Amitabha Gupta, the HOD of Department of Business Administration, Swami Vivekananda Institute of Science and Technology. And the second talk will be delivered by Dr. Sourav Dutta, Project Officer from Indian Institute of Biosocial Research and Development, IBRAD, West Bengal. So now I would request Dr. Sufia Zaman to say a few words before we kickstart the session for the day.
Yes, good evening all the panelists present here and all the attendees and students who have joined this session on incubation for the startups and the students and the faculties. It is a program which is organized by Techno University, the Mentor Institute, and it is hosted by NSHM Knowledge Campus, Kolkata. So we are very glad to have the two eminent speakers with us, Dr. Professor Amitabha Gupta, who is from Swami Institute of Science and Technology. He is a very eminent speaker as we have him for a long time, and he will share his expertise on different startups and entrepreneurship to different innovative activities along with that and a research scientist also from IBRAD, and he is doing various projects on aquaponics, then the different agricultural products he has developed through his PhD and thesis also, and is conducting various biosocial activities all over West Bengal. So I'm very glad that you're to be a part of this webinar from the Mentor Institute. And now I would request all the panelists to please switch on their video so we can take a proper handing the session to the host institute, that is NSHM. So I can request to all of you that please switch your videos so we can take a quick screenshot of all the attendees and all the panelists present in today's session. Dr. Preetham, please take a few screenshots.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I'm checking it.
Thank you, Dr. Preetham Mukherjee, for his presence today and helping us, and Dr. Prashanjit Pramanik from our department, who has given all the technical support for this session today. So now I request the NSHM coordinator, Dr. Saptarshi Ghosh, to take over the charge, and our director sir is also there, who will be handling this entire session. So thank you all. So we must now switch off our videos. Thank you for the thing and get muted. So the session is yours now, and please conduct the session.
Thank you, Dr. Zaman, for this introduction to the speakers. I would like to set the stage. In time, I would request everybody else to switch off their microphones. So let us hear Professor Gupta, and you can always have your version in the Q&A session. So have patience and listen to Professor Gupta carefully so that you can come back with your questions, which he is going to answer in the subsequent time slot. So over to you, Professor Gupta.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, both the institute, all the delegates from both the institute like NSHM and the Techno India, for inviting me for this wonderful occasion. And actually, you know, I was when I have received this link of this today's session, and it was sent by Mr. Ravi Ranjan. So actually, I was so much excited because I can remember my incubation days at NASCOM, where I was incubated under Ravi actually. So it was a great pleasure for me that in his presence, if he is present in this particular session. So it is a wonderful opportunity for me to talk on this incubation part, which I have learned actually from him. So so incubation, as I have actually prepared a presentation for today's session. Let me just share that. So it will be great if the sharing option can be given.
Yes, Dr. Pritam Mukherjee, please give the sharing option, screen sharing option.
Yes, ma'am. Just wait for a minute.
Okay, fine. So as we are proceeding for the screen sharing, let us just discuss the. I can just remember my incubation days at the NASCOM 10K startup. So at the first presentation, I can remember the Ravi has rejected me because of the some of the presentation loopholes. So based on his advice, I have again prepared the presentation. I have gone there and give another presentation. I was very much inclined to get incubated under NASCOM under Ravi. So that's why in the second presentation it was good, and fortunately I got selected as well. So that's why this incubation topic is one of the the topic which is very close to my heart, because I have once been incubated in this particular one of the incubator of the city. So let us just first discuss that what is this incubator for this early stage startup. Let us just discuss about the basic about it. So what is a business incubator? So business incubator is nothing but an organization established to accelerate the growth and the success of an entrepreneur through various kind of support. Like say, for example, if I'm thinking of about an idea today, so first thing that comes in our mind, how and who is going to support us initially. Here the incubators come, right? Now how it has all started, we'll be discussing in few of our next slides. So an incubator provides the resources and the services, including physical space. That means your office space will be requiring. If you have an office space right now in Sector 5, maybe it can be in the Techno India campus or in the Webel Manivandar building, NASCOM 10K startup. So it will be a wonderful opportunity to showcase your brand that your office is one of the prominent location of the city, right? So that's the thing you can get, that the physical space. Number two, one of the most important thing, that is the mentoring. If you can have a mentor like Ravi or other personalities who are into this startup ecosystem in India, so that is a wonderful opportunity, because if you are part of a this kind of incubation facilities, you would be getting this kind of mentorship support. Next one is some of the common services and some of the networking connections we can get. So we'll be discussing all these things in details in few of our next slides. Let us just understand how this this incubation things started. It is actually started in 1942 in US. Okay, when they realized some of the very good innovative ideas got wasted because of some non-availability of the networking opportunity or the initial operational cost. So this led to the establishment of the first business incubator, Student Agencies INC. Okay, followed by in 1946, MIT started having incubator, like the American Research and Development. So that is how this incubation or the incubator started. Now, the best incubators, or as far as the number of incubators are concerned, right now, probably as far as the data, I know that India is in the third position after China and US. But so Silicon Valley, New York, or the Singapore, or the Berlin, you can say some of the very good and the world-renowned incubators are there. But definitely, India is not far behind. Now, what you can expect from an incubator? Like we are talking about incubators, all the students entrepreneurs or the early stage entrepreneurs, what they can expect from an incubator. So business incubators actually help the emerging businesses by providing the various support services, such as assistance in developing the business, the marketing plan, the building the management teams, obtaining the capital, access to a range of more specialized professional services. Say for simple example, you want to have an IPR, I mean intellectual property right, you need a suggestion. So the incubators have that connections, they are going to help you out. Definitely, whenever we are thinking about a startup, we are thinking about the funding and all. So definitely the funding support, I mean, they can make the connections, like with the angel investors or the venture capitalists, they have connections. So they can make such connections so that you can have the opportunity to present. Now, whether you will be getting the funding or not, it is totally depend on the idea you are having or the kind of solution you are providing to the problem that is being faced by the masses. So that there are opportunity of scalability. So there are different kind of factors based on who is the funding would be given. But of course, in case of a professional structured incubators, you can have this opportunity to at least present your idea in front of different angel investor or the venture capitalist. So this platform can be given. Okay. So now they can also provide the flexible space, shared equipment, and that is very, very important, right? If you have a proper office space with some shared services like the printers and all, a conference room or a meeting room, which being a new startup, it is not possible for us to have our own this kind of setup. It is very difficult. You need a lot of investment for that, for your infrastructure. So if you have this kind of incubation facilities, so definitely this sort of initial issues can be solved, right? So if you want to conduct a meeting, there are meeting space, there are the conference room, there are meeting rooms that is available. Of course, you need to book that priorly. I mean, you need to fix an appointment. So definitely you can get that. So these kind of opportunities can be definitely be there. Okay. Now let us just discuss on the role of the business incubator. That we are discussing all those points. So let us just check some of them. Like some of the physical facilities, like the rental space. There are certain kind of incubators who would be actually charging based on the number of chairs you will be taking, right? So say for example, if I'm taking 2 chairs, so say for example 100 rupees per chair. It depends on the fact incubator to incubator. Just giving an arbitrary example, 100 rupees per chair. So that means if you're taking 2 chairs, then you have to pay 200 rupees per month, like that. So similarly, nowadays you will be finding some of the it is somehow different from the co-working space. You may think about the this kind of facility is being provided by co-working space as well. So co-working space and the incubator is different thing that you need to understand. The co-working space is going to give you only the space, nothing else, right? I mean, only the space, the internet, the electricity, these things you will be finding. But this kind of mentorship, this kind of network connectivity, funding opportunity, you will not be getting in the co-working space. Right? So that is the idea. So physical facility, that means the rental space, you can get electricity, high-speed internet access, and the conference hall facility that we are discussing. Okay. Now some of the other services like the majorly that as we are discussing, physical infrastructure can be given by co-working space as well. But however, if we are talking about the other support services, they provide marketing assistance, right? So providing access to the bank loans or the these angel investors and all. So incubators help with your presentation skill, the link together for the higher education services, the link for the strategic partners and all. So there are a lot of advisory services, legal advisory services you can get from this kind of incubator. So we need to understand, so incubator, what I'm trying to tell you, all of you, that the incubators are playing a big role and a wonderful role in developing the startup ecosystem and encouraging the youth to get into this kind of startup initiative. So sometimes we are getting scared that initially how we are going to start, right? So these incubators are going to help you out to start whatever you want to start with your new innovative idea and become a game changer in the market, right? So some of the other facilities that we are talking about, the networking facilities, business incubators provide networking facilities to the members. So there are a lot of networking events that is being organized by the different incubators, so where you can actually meet the key stakeholders of different organizations who can actually help you out to solve some of your problem to accelerate your present business. So it encompasses a set of relationships with the various agents of the organizations and building networks, shortens to accelerate the firm's learning process. So that is how they are going to help you out. Okay. So some of the other fact, this is one of the most interesting point I have heard, and I like this word, that is, it acts as a safe house. Probably we have hearing this safe house terminologies in some of the crime thriller or some of the movies where some of the secret agents are having their safe houses. Now the startups are having their safe houses in the form of an incubator, right? So where you can safely start your business without much of financial constraint. Okay, so that's why it is called as a safe house for the startup, as they provide requisite knowledge that entrepreneur need when starting out. So spawning the entrepreneurial talent resulting into greater number of successful startup ventures. So central to the innovative central to the innovation, as entrepreneurs have ready to use infrastructure for their ideas that we are discussing from our beginning of this session. So enhance the probability of the success of the startups, ensuring social and the economic benefits as well. Now the function of the incubator, that again, if you can continue, that is act as a center of information for the industry's local area where the incubator is. Like it can act as a source of information. I mean, how to apply for IPR, how to apply for some FOSI registration for my food startup. So everything, very, very small things. Otherwise, in most of the cases, I have found with many of my students, FOSI registration is very, simple things to obtain. But I have found many of my students have get into some trap of some of agents and have lost a lot of money because they don't have any idea. So if they can, contact the local incubator facilities, probably they could have got some more ideas, right? So act on the social point for aggregation of the stakeholders. Act as a local or the regional expert in the policy framework and the development. So these are the basic functions of the incubator that we wanted to discuss. Now, how we are going to select an incubator? Like you can see, if you search in the net, the incubators in near me, like that in the Google, if you can search, you'll be finding a lot of incubators. But you need to be very cautious about before selecting an incubator. We'll be discussing some of the prominent incubator where you can directly approach without hesitation. But if you search, you'll be finding there are a lot of incubators, but maybe not all of them are trustworthy. So you have to be very much selective. So, is it a true incubator, right? So some office building owners falsely advertise themselves as the incubator to lure the tenant. Like say, for example, a co-working space are telling that I'm an incubator. So of course, as we are discussing, there's a difference between this incubator and the co-working space. So that's why you have to be very much cautious about it because sometimes they are falsely advertised they are incubators. So entrepreneurs need to study the details of each offer to determine whether such claims are legitimate. So next one, the length of the operation. So incubators take some time to establish their reputation unless they're sponsored by a high profile corporation and a well-funded government agency. So sometimes if it is a very new incubator, maybe they are not popular, but you can check their background. Maybe they are good, they are ethical, the integrity is very high. But however, you need to check everything before getting into any incubation or the incubator facilities. Next one is the incubator leadership plays a very important role, as we are discussing. That NSHM today, probably one of the major reason is NSHM 10K startup I'm talking about. So this is so much effective. It was being started by Ravi. Ravi Ranjan is one of the incubator specialist or entrepreneur enthusiast, or the entrepreneur ecosystem innovator, whatever you want to say, is everything. So this is the leadership we are talking about. I mean, if you can find this kind of leadership here in an incubator facility, so definitely that can make a difference, right? So that is why it is very important. That is, the incubator leadership is very important. Like the NSHM we are talking about, it is from backed by the NSHM. So of course we can rely on them, kind of the people who are from the businesses of the similar background. They are actually promoting this incubator, so we can depend on that. So that's the idea. So next one is the factors. So sorry for the spelling mistake. It's the factors affecting the choice of incubator. Next one is the location. So I have actually probably there is one letter is missing, that is factor. So that's the idea. So number one is the location. Next one is the location. Location is very important, as we are discussing several times. Sector 5, Kolkata, prominent location. NSHM, they are having their offices in Sector 5. So of course, location plays a very, very important role for your the business, for your target market, for your transportation, for your competition, future growth, etc. So definitely location plays a very important role. Okay. Next one is the financing. Is the incubator's financial base a reliable one, or it is a shaky ground? So that you need to check before accepting any such offer. Okay. Next, let us just discuss very quickly, that is the incubator network in India. Okay. So as we are discussing, it is now the third largest incubators in the world, followed by this China and USA. Okay, China and USA. But right now, probably I need to check the exact data. The data I am having, it is more than 150 plus incubators right now, followed. But the China and USA is much ahead of us. That is the data I'm having, 2,400 to 15. It may be more than that as well. So that is the thing. We are far behind, but at least we are at par with Israel right now. So most incubators are India run by the academic institutes. That is very interesting point, because we are representing the academic institute right now. This event is being organized by the academic institution. So nearly 51% of the incubators in India are actually run by academic institution like us. While the rest are either corporate, that is the 9%, independent, that is 52%, or the government supported 8%. So that is based on recent data. So that shows. So this is how our Indian incubator system. So some of the incubators in India. Okay, some of the incubators in India. So as we are discussing from my very beginning of my speech, that is the NASCOM 10K startup is there, Kerala Startup Mission, Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, that is a Sign Lab IIT Bombay, G Labs, Indian School of Business, T Hub, Technology Hub, Indian Angel Network, IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, etc. So there are several incubators. I mean, I've just listed a few, very few. So let us just discuss some of the important or prominent incubators. Number one, definitely the NASCOM's 10K startup warehouse. So it has a vision to incubate 10,000 technology startup by 2025 in most of the major cities. They have a presence. So I have the opportunity to visit, work with the Bangalore warehouse and the Kolkata warehouse as well. So it's a wonderful opportunity and wonderful, support the people are getting out there. So the trade body wants to nurture the budding and the early stage startups to scale up and the growth stage. For this, NASCOM support the Indian startups to this kind of incubation program, and they are having both the online and the offline incubation as well. So if somebody not interested for the offline incubation, you can go for online incubation as well. So that is also a possibility. Next important is called the SIGN, that is Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, that is SIGN IIT Bombay. Now it is as far as the information I have got, this SIGN actually providing this kind of incubation facility for their students only, but it is open there. It is open throughout the year. Actually, anytime the students can go and apply for such incubation. And one of the important facility they are getting some seed funding as well, between 25 to 50 lakhs, depending on the kind of businesses they are into it. Right, but this facility probably, as the information I have received, that's probably they are getting this kind of support only for this their students only. Okay. Next, interestingly, that is IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. Most of this is in our city, like the NASCOM we are talking about. IIM Calcutta Innovation Park is situated in IIM Calcutta campus. So this is also an interesting, incubators. So many, even as we are discussing, NASCOM is mainly accepting the proposals for the technology startup, but the IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, they generally accept both both tech and the non-tech. So if you have that scalability and your idea is kind of good and the game changer, so definitely you can get the incubation facility out here. So IIM Calcutta Innovation Park is a non-profit Section 8 company established under the aegis of the IIM Calcutta to promote the entrepreneurship and innovation. So they are having multiple actually services, like they are calling it as a 7 boards. So the 7 boards, let us just check what are the 7 board services they are giving. So they are the seed, I seed means the investment, I spark, then I spring, I leap, I dream, I promote, I hatch. So these are the 7 board services they are providing. So the people who are interested to be incubated, so one of the option, definitely you can have this IIM Calcutta Innovation Park in the city. So that is the wonderful opportunity, because you'll be getting, again, NASCOM is one brand and they are having their offices in Sector 5. So that is a wonderful opportunity to showcase your brand in a prominent location of the city. And but IIM Calcutta having a separate brand, IIM itself is a big brand. So if you're saying that you are IIM incubated, or your office is in the IIM Calcutta campus, so definitely that have a separate edge, because people, the trust factor, the brand building activity would be much easier if you can get into it, either NASCOM or this kind of thing. I mean, this IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. So apart from that, I know that all the big institutes, reputed institutes like this Techno India or the NSHM are having their own incubation facility. So definitely you can approach your respective EDC cell or the incubator facility. So if you can be incubated from your own campus, so nothing like it. At our, so I work on the Institute of Science and Technology, though we are not having officially processed incubator, but definitely all the kind of facilities we are talking about, we are providing to our students and the faculty members, and we are always encouraging all the students and the faculty members, if you have idea, please come to us. All the basic facilities, whatever the requirement, we will be giving. I mean, that we are having Vivek Jyoti Incubation Center, the name we have given. So that we are working on actually, but as of now, we have not invited anybody from outsider, but however, it is being utilized for our own students. So that's what I'm telling you. So your own institute can be the basic, the base for your incubation, right? Even if you don't want to go out to this kind of incubation facility, so whatever the institute you are in, being a student or entrepreneur, definitely you can approach your institute for the incubation facility. So that nothing like it. If you can, start from your startup from your campus. Okay. So these are the things. Now, some of the let us just check some of the campus incubator facilities. Like all the institutes are having, or they are trying to open up their incubation facilities in the organization. So that's the idea. So today the young entrepreneurs can find good help without having to leave their campus, and it is possible for a 20-year-old to create something that change the world from their campus. So it is possible because of this kind of incubation facilities from the campus. So that is how the higher education institutes like us, like the Techno India, NSHM, or the Swami Vivekananda Institute, everybody, if they can provide these kind of facilities, you never know that we can find some of the game changers of the world from our campus, if we can provide the right kind of support towards them, right? So this revolutionary thinking from the university's cultural viewpoint has a long focused on the invention of the graduate students and their faculty. Of course, both the faculty as well as the students should be encouraged to get into it. So definitely the campus incubators or the incubation facility in the campus, any kind of higher education campus, is highly sought after. Okay. Now, some of the thoughts behind, sometimes whenever the students or the faculty members, even whenever they are thinking of, sharing their ideas to the, college incubation facility, so they are having some thought process behind that. I mean, whether they should discuss or whether they should not discuss, how that comes. So although the universities tend to give campus incubators aimed at the undergraduates as a simple career office, it's just an alternative to, it's a kind of career development side. So we have to shift the focus. I mean, it is a separate thing. Those who are really interested to get into the startup ecosystem, want to develop something of their own, want to solve some bigger problem, kind of thing. So they should be, encouraged, or the students should be encouraged like that. It is, of course, it is a part, entrepreneurship of the startup is also a career option. So our focus should be, very much clear, right? So they can also have claims of the students' IP or the intellectual property, where the students turn the campus invention into commercial deal. So there are certain kind of issues. I mean, this is absolutely acceptable, but however, in certain situation, let us just check. The students forced that feared that bringing a project to a class or sharing with a professor would trigger university ownership. That if I'm sharing this with my professor or in the class, probably it is university or my college is going to claim the share of my ownership. Okay. Generally, the students are typically considered the sole owners of their invention. It is their own invention. It is their own intellectual property. It is their own product or services. So you are the owner, but with a few exceptions. What are the exceptions? So if a student received the university grant, I mean, university is providing some seed funding, or is being paid by the university for the work. I mean, you are getting paid as you are working on a startup project. In these, or if the idea is developed with the faculty of the student of that particular institute, or if the student is using the significant campus resources to develop the idea. So in these cases, definitely the university campus or the college campus has a can expect a stake in that particular ownership. So that the student need to understand, because they are getting this kind of services in the form of university grant, or they are getting paid for working in the startup idea, or the idea is being developed along with the faculty, or if the student uses the significant campus resources to develop the idea. So these are, because these things we need to be very much clear at the time, if at the time of incubating some of our students in our facility, that is the campus facility. We are not talking about the non-campus facility, the NSHM and all, but if we are incubating our startup, I mean the student startups in these things in our campus incubator, then we need to think about it before incubating. Otherwise, that will omit different kind of confusion. Okay. So what are the values the students can get if they are getting incubated in the campus? So there are tangible benefits for the student entrepreneur from the campus incubator. So because they are teacher in an entrepreneurship class, become their advisor, working with the college, give some legitimacy which can help to open doors, including landing startups first investor, right? So I have seen this actually. So if you are taking the starting from the campus, and your entrepreneurship faculty become your advisor, you will be getting, and the students can get a lot of advantages out of it. And I have seen few students got this investors to start. I mean the seed funding, I mean not a huge amount, but amount, because the faculty is also involved. He is also trying to convince different people that yes, my student is working on that, if anybody is ready to fund that project. So I have seen this success. So it is possible, right? So but not all the students may end up as a successful entrepreneur. That is also true. From the college perspective, we need to understand that all the students may not end up as a successful entrepreneur from the incubator, and most don't even make a profit. That is also a probability. So a few young founders may decide that it makes more sense to work for someone else. Maybe during their 4 years of their engineering course or 2 years of their MBA program, they have started some startup from this college incubator. But during the placement season, they have thought that it is better to, their startup was successful. But at that point of time, they may be thinking that, okay, let us go for some lucrative offers in the campus, right? So that is also a probability that we need to think, because I have also seen these things. I mean, there are a lot of successful startup. I mean, they are doing really well, but during the campus drive, they have decided to get into the job. So that's also a probability. So that we have to have these expectations very clear, from the college perspective, because otherwise we'll be shocked that how this happened, that we have spent 4 years, 3 years, 2 years behind this particular project, and now the student is telling that no, I'm going to stop it, and I'll be accepting a job offer. Okay. So but nevertheless, so even though, understand one thing, even though the value of the venture may be zero, it is what they learn during the entrepreneurship make their career choices early. It is going to help them being an intrapreneur. I mean, that is definitely this entrepreneurial journey during this incubation process in the campus, that is going to help them in their corporate career. That is what, that is 100%, more than 100% is true. I mean, it is a fact. I have seen that. Though the people who into the incubation, into the startup ecosystem for a couple of years, then they have get in the corporate, they are doing tremendously well. They're doing, because their sense of business is much clear, much sharper than the other people who have just no startup activity and directly completing study, getting into the job. So it happens. So definitely in that way, we can help them to become an entrepreneur, maybe, right? So the experience therefore is not invaluable. So sometimes you may be failed in your startup business, you may be not able to make a single amount of profit, but however, these experience are invaluable, right? So that means why we are talking all these things, because we want our students from any campus, it may be Techno India or the NSHM or the Swami Vivekananda campus or any other campuses, we want people to get into this startup ecosystem, do something of their own, be a game changer. That's why I have tried to bring out some of the example, some of the small cases, from the small stories. These are very popular stories, probably all of you know that, but just to end my discussion with this example, so that will be with a positive note. Like if you can know that Google was a company that has started from the campus. So the world's most famous search engine, Google, was started in 1996 by 2 PhD students of Stanford University. So they have started their business in their dorm, that is the dormitory, with some of with the first name, probably all of you know, that is a black, backdrop. So due to the site's ability to check the backlinks to estimate the importance of the website. right? So now they have got a first, their investment was near about 1 lakh USD to start their business. So understand, from the campus itself, they have created a company that have changed the world actually. So actually I have identified this particular case from their site only. I mean, the Google, I mean, this is from the site search engine. I've searched this idea, I mean, how Google has started. Where I have searched? I have searched in Google, right? So that is a wonderful thing. I mean, they have started this wonderful thing from the campus. And the next one, definitely all of us know, that is the Facebook. How it has all started, right? So actually, you know that Mark Zuckerberg and some of their friends have created one site that is the hot or not. That means in the campus, they wanted to conduct a poll, that is whether the picture is hot or not. That's it. So that's why Mark Zuckerberg actually hacked the the university website, university site, and to get all those snaps of all the students. And when the university have identified, I mean, they have Harvard actually that's identified, and they have actually blocked this site. And now you can understand, I mean, what is the Facebook is all about, right? So it has started from a campus, right? So Facebook, as we know today, was launched the Facebook in 2004, and based on the printed Facebook handed over to the students to identify. So start with the membership was limited to the Harvard only, right? And then some US and Canada based Ivy League colleges, they have started, and then what is Facebook today, right? So it has started from the campus. That I wanted to stress on. It has started from the campus. So actually the people who are the students out here who are thinking of doing something of their own, so just believe that it is possible, that if they can do it, we can also do it. So that's the idea. Next is the very old example of the Time magazine. That is in the 1925, the New York Time magazine was created. Actually, the two person who have created this was the editor in their their campus campus magazine they have started. So that is also an interesting fact. Next one is the Snapchat. All of us know that Snapchat. So that has also come from the campus itself in 2012, right? So what is their objective? Yes, their principle was that we are not looking for a Kodak moment. We are looking for a moment which capture each and every human emotions, So that's the idea. What I'm trying to say, whatever may be the business model, the business models may be different, but what I'm trying to say, these are the example which motivate us. Yes, from the campus, it is possible. If we are getting a proper incubation facility, proper mentoring support, definitely our students from the city of Kolkata or West Bengal, it is possible. If they can do it, we can also do it. So that is how these incubator facilities can help us out. If you can, if you are talking about the different incubator facilities, the NSHM or the IIM Calcutta Innovation Park or any other incubators, and along with that, we cannot forget, or we should not ignore the the incubation facility that is being provided by our own institute. So if you don't want to reach out this NSHM or the IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, please reach out to your campus, the ADC cell. So they are definitely going to help you out to provide the proper incubation facilities. So that is how what I wanted to talk about on the incubation facilities and why you should get into it and get incubated, start something. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity to present myself and present my idea. So anyone having any question on it?
So any questions pertaining to this session, this beautiful and amazing session delivered by Professor Amitabha Gupta, while he delved deep into the psyche of incubators and what all incubators are capable of and how it can value add to your business. So if you have any questions, you can shoot your questions either through chat box or you can unmute yourself and talk. Any questions to Professor Gupta? So I think it was a lot of information for them. So the good part is whenever, okay, I see a few coming up. There's one question from Raj Chakraborty on what parameters campus incubators select any project new ideas. Your inputs, Professor.
Yeah, he said that's a wonderful question. And what I believe, if some students are coming to us with a new idea, that is appreciable at the beginning. That yes, they are coming up with some new ideas. They want to do something of their own. So that's every idea. No idea is a bad idea. Actually, no idea is a bad idea. Every idea has some of its own value. So if we found that idea can readily be implementable, definitely we should select that. But however, if we found that some of the ideas may require some of the modification, some changes, some modification that is required, that we can advise. But any student, if they are coming up with any kind of idea, that must be encouraged by the college incubator specifically, because that should be encouraged. Otherwise, the people, if they are getting rejections from the very beginning from the college incubators, so the other students will also be apprehensive of sharing their ideas. So if it's a college incubator, definitely it should be, all the ideas should be encouraged. But if it the incubation are from the outside, other organizations, so they generally select based on certain kind of parameters. Like if you're talking about the technology incubator like NASCOM, they always try to identify whether the technological aspect, what kind of new kind of technology you are utilizing or bringing in. So based on that, they are selecting. And if you're talking about some other incubators like IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, they are emphasizing mainly on the the impact you are going to create, the kind of problem you are solving, or the scalability you may have. So these are the parameters generally they use. But again, I'm telling you, if it is a college incubator, students are coming, every idea is a good idea, encourage them, modify that, and help them out to start something new. Next question: what are the most important things to be kept in mind while starting a business? So first, it is not about the business. We are talking about the startups. So whenever we are talking about the startups, first you need to think that is what kind of problem you are solving. That is very important, because the bigger the problem, the bigger the chances of the success, right? So that's why you have to you have to focus on solving a problem. If you can solve a problem amicably, economically, with high amount of integrity, definitely your business, there are higher chances that you can be successful. So the first thing you need to ideate, that is the idea should be solving a problem which has not been solved yet, or you can solve a problem in a different way. Probably that particular way has not been utilized. So the bigger the problem, the bigger the chances of getting selected. So first thing, definitely you need to identify what the problem you are solving for the society or the industry. So that is the first thing you should remember to start a business. So definitely there are different other parameters. You need to check whether this is feasible, whether this is economical, whether it is a long-term project. I mean, whether based on the present market, whether this kind of project is at all suitable or the feasible. So these things you need to remember. So there are a lot of things. There is no single answer, single line answer, but definitely the first thing you need to understand that what kind of problem you are solving. Because the bigger the problem, the success, if you can provide a right kind of solution, definitely there would be a lot of takers, right? Before the home delivery system arrived in our particular economy of the society, the people, even especially in Kolkata, people is to tell that Kolkata people is going to go to the bazaar and they are going to do their own shopping. They are not going to take the home delivery. But now till think that it is not about the home delivery, it is about the quick commerce. That is within the 10 minutes, people are competing. I mean, the companies are competing from 10 minutes delivery to 15 minutes delivery. So it is not about home delivery, it's about how quickly you can deliver. So this is a different problem. Big Basket or the grocers have already solved the problem of the home delivery or some of the local vendors. But now the Zepto or this Blinkit, though Blinkit has been taken over by Zomato. So these things, I mean, these companies are coming into quick commerce. I mean, they are solving the time parameters, right? So they are telling we are delivering, but within 10 minutes. So now we are habituated. And now, frankly speaking, I'm a regular customer of the Blinkit. So whenever at around 9:30, 10, I think that some of the things I need to purchase for tomorrow's cook will be coming, and I need to purchase something. I'm giving order at 10, and that is being delivered at 10:15 at night. So this is the kind of convenience they are creating. This is the kind. So this problem they are solving. So otherwise, I would be okay, fine. I need to wake up in the early morning before going to office. I have to go to the bazaar and purchase this material to hand over the cook. Otherwise, the cook is not going. The cook will be telling, okay, I'm going home. So this problem has been solved. So you need to understand what's the problem. So on delivery things has been solved, but the time. So now they are playing with the time. The Zomato is thinking of delivering the food within 10 minutes. So probably they are piloting this concept in the Gurgaon probably by hiring some robots chef. Right. So these are the things, always you need to think that how to solve the problem. I mean, existing problems. So say Ola cab to Ola bike to Ola Toto. And so that's the thing. So they are adding and they can understand that, okay, Ola Toto is also required. So this is the thing. So you need to last minute delivery or the last minute connectivity. So that's why this bike or the Ola Toto that is coming. So that you need to understand. I mean, solve the problem, then do the business, earn money. That should be the ideal process to start a startup.
So thank you, Professor Gupta, for this wonderful session. I must confess that for a very long time, I've not heard somebody from academia giving a session with so much of command on business. It's a commendable activity that you have done. I'm sure it reflects your passion for the subject, and it reflects your understanding of business as well. So that was a mind-boggling session. I'm sure all the students have enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a deep diving onto the incubator ecosystem, and thanking you once again for bringing out the holistic understanding of the macro as well as the micro perspectives involved in this particular business of incubation. So we would move on to our next speaker. I would request Professor Gupta, if possible, to hang on till the end of the session, if you have time. And I would like to bring upon stage Dr. Sourav Dutta, who is the project officer of Indian Institute of Biosocial Research and Development. So, Dr. Datta, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Saptarshi Ghosh, and thank you to Techno India University and NSHM Knowledge Campus. So, pardon me, I'm having a really gruff throat. I hope I am audible, and I will try to be as clear as possible. So, that was an amazing session by Professor Amitabha Gupta, and we learned a lot about incubators and entrepreneurs. And now, deviating from that, so what I will be talking about is where I come from, where I'm working. It's the Indian Institute of Biosocial Research and Development, IBRAD, which is in Kolkata, Keshtupur. So where I work, what we are doing is we are facilitating, we are the incubators. We are the incubators as such. We are being funded by government agencies like Departments of Science and Technology and the STD, the Sustainable Tribal Development Group from the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and to make entrepreneurs, to say, in a way of saying, to make unwitting entrepreneurs. Our entrepreneurs are not aware they're becoming entrepreneurs. They become aware that they are becoming entrepreneurs by the end of the journey, by the end of the project. So we are tasked with the responsibility of making these villagers, the village folk, or the PVTG, that is the particularly vulnerable tribal groups who are, for example, the Lodhas, the Mankedias, and the Baigas, who are at the very bottom rung of the economic ladder, so as to say, and who have very basic livelihood means, maybe one cropping season, maybe working some odd jobs, maybe working at the brick kiln. So we are tasked with such work to make entrepreneurs, or at least try to improve the livelihood of such people. So this is a very basic grassroots level work which we are doing. So I have a presentation ready. Okay, so I hope my slide is visible to everybody. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. And I will be talking about the sustainable livelihood-based activities that we work on. I'm sorry, that was not audible, madam.
Yes, it's okay now. It's okay. Carry on.
Okay, okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you for the vocal confirmation. Okay. Yes, deviating from the more business-oriented topic, now I'm coming to the part where we are trying to develop some kind of entrepreneurs in rural India. So I'm going to take you through the journey as what I have gone through as a project officer at IBRAD and what we are doing, what we are working on. And so this can be a segue for the students, for my friends and colleagues to think about all the different kind of possibilities that you can deploy to become a successful entrepreneur. So the main idea behind the workings of my institute, that is IBRAD, is very related to what Mr. Antonio Guterres. So many of you will recognize him as the United Nations Secretary General. So he has talked about the 2013 agenda and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, or the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So what are the SDGs? So this is very important. This is what our institute focuses primarily on. So these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So as you can see, United Nations has set up some goals for the whole world to work on. And these goals are, there are 17 goals. And the idea is that if all the nations, all the member nations, they work on these goals for the development, for the betterment of their own country, then overall we will be making a better future for the whole world. So we'll be going to a better place with the whole world. So as you can see, the first one is no poverty. So it ranges from topics like reducing poverty to making sustainable cities, communities, and from improving the quality of life for people. In many places, they are still very poor, and they do not have access to proper education, proper food, water. So improving the quality of life for such people, and also not only for the people, but also for the life below the water, as for fishes, marine aquatic animals, and for the life on the land, that is for all the fauna, the flora, which is on the land. And overall, this will be a strong action against the climate which is changing, which is becoming very hostile towards our survival. So all this can, in a way, sustain the climate, sustain the earth for our future generations. So basically, IBRAD works on these parameters to develop business models or to enable the entrepreneurs who are the village folk to work on these models. And from here, we are getting ideas. So let's take a look at what all IBRAD is working on. So IBRAD's main focus are on Sustainable Development Goal 1, that is no poverty. We try to reduce the poverty of the village people. And for 2, for zero hunger, we try to reduce the problem of unsustainable agriculture. We want to bring around sustainable agriculture. And also for gender equality, we try to promote gender equality in our work. We try to go for more women empowerment, and also for decent work and economic growth. So through the works of IBRAD, it promotes a decent work and economic growth of the people. And there is also the responsible consumption and production, which is the SDG number 12. So what happens is whatever we are consuming and whatever we are producing, it's in a sustainable mode. It's not as if we are exploiting it for our own benefits, so that we are not left with anything for the future generations. So when your kids, your son, your daughter, they come to you and you have something left for them. So that is sustainable exploitation. And then all these will work towards the climate action. So it is very important to talk about the climate change, but talking to a villager about the rise of temperature in the world or the increase of sea level is of no sense. So you have to make them understand the difference, the problem with climate change through their eyes. You have to see the world through the lenses of the villagers, and you have to make them understand how it is affecting their livelihood. So that is where we work. So basically, the workings of the institutions is as such. So first of all, we focus on a problem. We find a problem, we focus on it, and then after we have committed to the problem, we assess all the risks, the opportunities, and the impacts of all this problem we are focusing on, and we define the parameters, the targets, and the policies which we need to take, which we need to consider before working on such problems. and then we implement the policies. We set up the policies, then we implement them on the ground level, and from that we have some results. For this result, we measure the results, and then we communicate with the stakeholders. So the stakeholders for us are usually the villagers and also the government agencies who work via us to develop all the villagers on their entrepreneurial journey. So I'm sorry. So we are working on the steps of the SDG goals that have been put forward by United Nations. So United Nations has very simple goals for village folks. So they want the soil to be protected. They want the crop to be protected. They want the pasture, the cattle to be protected. So these villagers, what they need to learn is they need to learn about the soil erosion. So soil erosion, it is eroding away all the soil, excessive soil, and this is to be stopped. And how we are going to stop them? So we need to teach them, or if they know, we need to instill in them the idea of cover crops or intercropping, or you can stop the erosion with by planting more crops and going for agroforestry, where you're mixing the forest, the planting of trees with your agriculture. And then you need to go for pasture management so that your cattle don't overgraze the land, and that can also prevent erosion. So these are the basic pointers on which we are working. So now I'm going to show you 9 items on which we are working, and each of these items can be turned into a entrepreneurial idea, and it can be used for generating an exchequer. So we call at Ibrad, we call this the Navratnas, or the 9 jewels of Ibrad. So these 9 jewels are: the first, you want to develop an organic nutrition kitchen garden. So when we go to a village, we want to develop an organic nutrition kitchen garden. So then nowadays there is a lot of demand of organic. Organics are the king of the vegetables, So even though the production may not be massive compared to your chemically grown your gardens or your vegetable plots, but the organic nutrition kitchen garden can start very basic. They can start by feeding the particular family. We can tell the villagers that you can use the organic garden for your own sustenance, provided you have some excess. You can sell that off. So that is, and then when they start doing that, they get a better exchequer return for the organic vegetable at their mandi, the local mandi where they are selling their vegetables. So since it is organic, they're getting a better exchequer return. So that instills in them the interest to grow the vegetables. So next year around, they want to plant more vegetables, which can not only fulfill their sustenance, but they can also sell in the market and obtain a profitable return. So the basic idea of Ibrad is not to provide villagers with handouts. If you can provide them handouts for a season, for the next season, they can again come back and ask for the handouts. And when you're out of handouts, they'll be like, that's it. We have not learned anything. We have not got anything. So we want to give them the knowledge transfer of how to grow, how to make your own entrepreneur idea, so that you can generate some funds, not much maybe from the starting, maybe very basic startings, very frugal startings. First feed your own family, then maybe go for some earnings which are very limited. So the first idea is the organic nutrition garden. So what we do at Ibrad is we identify the areas. So based on a participatory rural appraisal, and we generate a PRM map of the village, and with the help of the villagers themselves, because who better would know their village than the local people? And with their ideas and their interactions, we give them suggestions wherein they can develop such kind of organic gardens. And this can provide a sustainable yield, as I was talking about. So on to the next point. Once you have food, you always need water. So how do you get water? So water conservation is very important. Now, water conservation, it comes with its benefit. So when you have water, you also have fishes. So what we can tell them, if you have a pond, a water, a place where there is water, you can store water, and you can also go for fisheries. So you can initiate fishery that can, in the starting, feed you and your family. So after that, if you have any excess, you can think of selling it. So that is the main plan. And this improves the quality of the water. So in the villages, the water quality is not very good. It is improving day by day as India is becoming more and more good with these things. The rural condition for the water is pretty weak, and in conservation, when you are teaching them conservation, they learn a lot of stuff wherein they can understand that how it is important to maintain the purity of water which they are drinking or which goes into the drinks of the cattle and the other animals which are in and around their villages. So it is very important for them to learn that and to maintain a healthy pond ecosystem so that they can benefit from the ample, the returns in the form of fishes. The third point is when you want an organic kitchen garden, you need to have an organic fertilizer. Of course, you can dump a lot of farmyard manure, but you always want to have something good, something better. So when we are not using chemical fertilizers, we can always look into another option, which is vermicomposting. So vermicomposting is a very sustainable form of fertilizer in which we are using organic wastes which are generated from our household into converting into fertilizers. So even this, we are providing them the technical know-how. We are providing them the villagers. See, you have an organic garden which requires fertilizers, or you have a bumper crop, and we can tell you how you can have that, provided you follow certain steps, and you have to do this and that. You have to collect certain stuffs, and once you have these organic stuffs, which I will talk about in detail, you have these organic stuffs. And when you go for creating vermicompost, so we give them the starter, the seed money to start the vermicomposting. And once they have a demonstration pit from wherein they can learn, they can see the results, and then they get excited, and then they start digging into their own savings to start their own vermi pit. So once they have their own vermi pit, they can always use it for the organic kitchen garden, or they can bag up the vermicompost and sell it in the market or the mandi, where these things, the vermicomposting is another becoming another, it's a pretty, it's a thing of a pretty importance, which in the organic manure market. So this also not only provides the villagers with a livelihood option in this global climate change scenario, but also it brings back the soil nutrient and the plant growth. The soil has been leached of all its nutrients, so it adds humus to the soil and it brings back the soil nutrients. Now I'll go to the fourth point. So the fourth point is the setup of a herbal garden. So the herbal garden is very important. We're conserving and saving rare herbs and plants. It can be like tulsi, not very rare, some medicinal plants like tulsi, maybe aloe vera. So what we do is we deploy the local help of the local veds. So the local veds, the healers, they are very adept with what is the type of vegetation in and around the particular village. So they give us the information, and based on that, we instruct the villagers what they have to do to set up a herbal garden. So they identify rare herbs, they make a seasonal calendar with season to season, which herbs are available, and then accordingly they can plant that. Now, once you have a herbal garden and you have a lot of herbs growing in your garden, which are of economic importance, you can always use it to treat your own self, maybe from a sore throat like me, or you can even sell it to earn a profit. So here also we are providing them an alternative livelihood from which the villagers can benefit. And then we go for agricultural crops. So you may be asking me, all the villagers in India, they are well aware of agricultural crops. We are an agricultural country, and this point need not be stressed upon. But the thing is, in the wake of the global climatic change scenario, what is happening is our climate, our particular climate, the subtropical area is becoming warmer. And this warm is promoting the growth of biotic insects and pests. Now, these insects and pests, they love to feed on the crops. So what we are doing, we are pumping lot and lot of chemical pesticides into our fields. Now, it's a good market for the chemical pesticides and the companies as such. But what we want to do is we want to bring back climate resilient plants. So we are using high yielding varieties, high yielding hybrid varieties, like we talk about them. And these are giving us a lot of produce. But what we want to do is we want to introduce also some of the local millets. Like, for example, we have the kodo, that's a local millet. And then you have the bajra, the rye, all these local millets which have lost their way in our culture. We need to reintroduce them into the markets. So nowadays, what is happening is if you go to the supermarkets, all the craze is over this local millets and organic food. So these things are coming back. They're making a big comeback. So there is a big market from such local millets, and also if they're organic. So what happens is we identify what kind of crop stand they had in the area, and we give them the know-how, the technical know-how to start replanting that, maybe not in the whole field, but a section of the field wherein they can start very small again for their own sustenance, and then they have any extras, they can sell it off in a market to earn a livelihood. So what happens is we are improving robust crop species back into the environment, which are resistant to the natural pests, which have evolved now to eat your high yielding varieties of rice or wheat or whatever crops we are growing in the field. Now, in a village, whenever you go to a village, you imagine a village, you will always find a couple of cows or some sheep or some livestock in and around the village. So the villagers, of course, need their livestock for their sustenance, for getting meat, for getting milk, for working. So they need their cattle and all this small livestock like chicken, like poultry. So even that, for that, we need to develop a pasture. So Brad also gives them the technical know-how for the pasture development. Now, what that does is in the villages, in the village markets, even the pasture grass is for sale. So what happens is people, they grow the pasture grass. They have two cattle, a pair of oxes maybe. They come with the cattle. The cattle feed on the pasture, and then they have some extra grass which they can sell off to earn extra. Not much maybe to start with, but anyway, it's a start. Then we have agroforestry. So agroforestry, it's investing in some kind of fruit trees, and these fruit trees are, of course, fruits are of economic value. So what we help the villagers with is whenever they have a land, a fallow land maybe, or a piece of land wherein they are doing the agricultural activities, we instruct them or we give them the know-how to plant some kind of fruit plants alongside their agricultural produce. Now, in India, the fruit plants are also handed out during a certain environment weeks and environment days by the forest department. So the forest department also helps the villagers by giving them free fruit trees and plants like mango, jackfruit, neem. So these are the certain trees which the forest department also gives out saplings to for free. So the villagers can just go and they can plant these plants, tend to them, see that they grow, and when they grow, they reap the benefit. So it's the villagers who reap the benefit. So this is another very good way of earning a livelihood and also earning for their sustenance. And we also help them for the plant nursery development. So again, the nursery development is very similar to the herbal garden. So basically, you are developing your saplings of the plants which you want to plant in your field. Now, once you have planted your field with all the saplings, you certainly have some leftovers, and these leftovers you can readily sell in the market. So we are providing them an opportunity to sell and earn some livelihood. And last of the Navratna is the non-timber forest produce. So the non-timber forest produce, or the NTFPs, which we call them as, are forest products which are not of timber, which are not of timber, which are not timber per se. And in India or anywhere per se, we cannot just go in and start chopping or felling trees. So that is under the jurisdiction of the forest rights, forest department, and the forest department has given some forest rights to the PVTGs and the tribal people who live in the forest fringe areas to go and collect some certain NTFPs or MFPs, as we call them, minor forest producers. Like, for example, will be honey, lac, some fruits. Maybe in Bengal, you'll be familiar with the sal pata. So you can go to the jungle, you can collect the sal leaves, and you come back and you dry the sal leaves and you weave them into baskets, weave them into plates, and then you can sell them to earn an exchequer. So these are NTFPs. So again, Ibrahim, we identify and augment the scope of such NTFPs. For example, they might not, the people in the area, they might not be available, they might not be aware of the various NTFPs that are available in their forest. So we provide them the know-how. And all these activities all these 9 activities which Ibrat partakes in, or the Navratnas, they can have an entrepreneurial segue into for the villagers to earn a livelihood. So I will be talking about one of the example from the field. So I'll be talking about vermicompost, a little bit into the details, the workings of the vermicompost, how we work on it, and how it has benefited the villagers. So we'll look at vermicomposting. So what is vermicomposting? So very basically, vermicomposting is turning your organic wastes with the help of some earthworms, some helpers. So these helpers are earthworms, and these are turned into an organic manure. Now, once you have the organic manure, you can use that for growing your plants, growing your vegetables, your flowers, your produce, and you can have an organic crop set. Now that again, once you consume, once you use it up, once it is dead, it again becomes organic waste. So this is a very sustainable method of recycling your waste, your organic wastes, into the vermicomposting. And the vermicomposting, as we know, compared to the chemical fertilizers, it is not that powerful. Of course, it is not that powerful because the fertilizer is an inorganic salt, where this is just a manure. Okay, and the fertilizers is it's prepared in factories, and it has a massive amount of NPK. So NPK are the nitrogen, the potassium, and the phosphorus that is available in the fertilizers, which are taken up, used up by the plants. So as you can see from the small table over here, the vermicomposting, it provides us more NPK than farmyard manure. So farmyard manure is basically just the refuse of your cows, the cow dung, which has been kept for some days. That's the farmyard manure. So it has a better NPK percent than those, and it is also better than the bacterial compost. But compared to your fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, I'll give you an example. The chemical fertilizers, like you have urea. So urea has 10% of N, 26 of P, and 26 of K. That is massive. Yes, that is massive. That gives us a good crop stand. But then again, those are chemicals. So when you're putting chemical into the soil, it leaches away the potential of the soil, the power of the soil, and the soil is rendered infertile after usage over a long period of time. In wherein, if you're using vermicompost, it brings back the nutrient power of the soil. So it's very important to care for the soil, because the soil is becoming more deficit of nutrients day by day. And when you talk to the villagers, you will know that in the olden days, their grandfather used to add maybe 1 truck of a farmyard manure, but nowadays they have to go for like 5 trucks of farmyard manure for the same amount of produce. So for the same amount of produce, the amount of fertilizers keeps on increasing day by day. So that is because the soil has lost its nutrient power. And for vermicomposting, how do we obtain it? So the first and foremost is your earthworms or your helpers. So earthworms are needed for vermicomposting. So now these earthworms, you can have 3 types of earthworms. So the earthworms can be the surface dwellers, or they can be, some in between the surface and the really subterranean root level earthworms. And then you will have the root level earthworms, which dig really deep into the soil. So we are talking about earthworms which are surface dwellers. So these surface dwellers, earthworms, what they do is they consume a lot of organic matter, and their feces, the defecation of these earthworm or the castings, are left on the surface level. Now these are basically chock loaded with your NPKs, and you can collect them and you can sell them. So, but how? We are going to take a look at that. Now we go for the construction of the vermi pits or the vermicompost beds, and we will see how we are creating that. And then the third point is, after you have the compost, we have to separate the compost, and we have to screen the compost, so that when we are bagging it, there are no hay or stones or some kind of, because it is made in the field, it's made in the open field, so there will be some impurities in it. So we have to mesh, clear it of that, and then we have to pack it. We have to go for packaging, and then comes the part of the transportation and the marketing. So this is the process of vermicomposting. So the first part of it is the earthworms, so which I was talking about. So these are the surface dweller earthworms. Now they have a pretty huge, they have a pretty good demand in the market. So when you want to buy such earthworms, they are expensive. And if you are growing a vermicompost pit and you have all these earthworms with you, these earthworms are not just going to lie still, they are going to reproduce. And if you have a very healthy vermi pit, so you will find yourself with double the amount of earthworms within months. So when after that you can sell your earthworms, or you can plan for another vermipit. So it's basically a sustainable way of generating a compost. So this is a species of earthworm called A. fatida, and this is a surface dweller. It's a very effective um, earthworm for converting your organic matter into your vermicomposting. So we can buy the earthworms over in Kolkata and the surrounding villages. They sell earthworms, many, but they also sell the eggs. So over here you have, you can see the picture of the eggs of the earthworms. Now each of these eggs shell, they contain 2 to 6 larvae. So these come out, and the earthworms, they grow by feeding on your organic wastes. Now, there are some different kinds of organic vermicomposting. So the first one you see on the top left corner is commercial vermicompost. So it's a commercial vermicompost, has a very big row. They dig right into the soil, and they layer the soil with bricks so that your earthworms cannot escape. Because remember the earthworms are subterranean dwellers, and they can dig right through your vermipit. So you need to seal it off, and you need to provide them with topsoil and a lot of cover, because these earthworms, they breathe through their skin, and they are very photosensitive. So we need to give them a cover, and they all stay in the in between the topsoil and the lower part. And then you have the one with the plastic, the green one. So the green one is a very temporary vermicompost. So when you want to have a temporary vermicompost, you set up a green vermicompost tank like that with your organic stuffs in it and your earthworms, and you get your vermicompost. Now, on a much smaller scale, you can even go for your personal vermicomposting. So this I have seen on my travels when I was traveling in Amsterdam. So what they have is, they have a wooden box in which they will deposit all their organic waste, all the leafy vegetables, all their coffee waste, coffee refuse. So they would deposit it, and they would use that to create their own vermicompost. And from that, they would maybe use it for their own potted plants. You can even have it in a plastic tray. If you're starting, if it's a very it's just starting, you want to check whether it's working or not, you can use it in one of those containers wherein you receive your milkman receives his quota of milk every morning. So that kind of containers also you can do it. So what we do is basically this type. So this is another type. This is the cemented vermipits. So, the cemented vermipits are on the ground, so we do not dig inside. So these are on the ground. These are 10 feet by 3 feet in 3 feet and 1.5 feet in diameter, in your dimension, sorry. And what we do is, these are cemented, and they have a certain layering technique. So first and foremost, we go with layering them with neem leaves. So the neem leaves are given so that the small critters like ants do not come, because ants are enemies of our friendly earthworms. So we just spread some neem leaves, and then after that we can put in our organic and our dry waste. So the dry will be a hay, which is available very readily from the villages. So what they will do is, they chop up the organic vegetables and waste and the organic leaves which they obtain from the fields. They can also use water hyacinth, since water hyacinth is another problem. It grows like a weed everywhere in the ponds. So they can take that, chop it up, they can keep it ready, and this is used. The green and the dry is used in the ratio of 70:30. So 70% of the dry hay is used, and 30% of the green leaves are used, or the organic is used. And you mix them with some fresh cow dung, and these provides the earthworm with the best condition for it to generate vermicomposting. So now what it does is, when these things are put in the tank, and we keep them ready in the tank for some days, we do not put the earthworms in the beginning. So we keep them as such. The tanks are readied and kept as such for some days. But what happens is, all the organic waste, they decay, and finally when they are rendered, there is no smell coming from them. They are not noxious, and you can release your earthworms. So there's a way of releasing the earthworms. We'll look at that. And once you have released the earthworms, for a pit of this dimension, it takes them 1 month to generate vermicomposting for the full pit. So after 1 month, we again separate the earthworms. We take up our vermicompost and we bag them, tag them. We can sell them or use them in our own fields, and the other, and we can again refill the tank with our refuse. So basically, we are generating money from garbage. So that is the main point. So all the villagers can use the refuse, the organic waste, which is readily available in the villages, or generating some exchequer. Now, what we can put and what we cannot put in a vermicomposting. So yeah, fruits and vegetable scraps, yes, you can put them. You can put coffee grounds and loose tea leaves. But yeah, eggshells cannot be digested by the worms. The worms cannot eat your eggshells, but it's a good to put eggshells because it adds calcium to your soil. You can always put tea bags, but it is always advised not to put in, meat products, fish bones, meat products, something like lemon, which has citronella, which is bad for the earthworms. And it is also advisable not to put in onion and garlic peels. So these things, they can be digested by the worms, but the problem is, since these have a complex protein structure, they generate a lot of smell, and a long-lasting smell, which again creates a problem with rodents. So rodents are another enemies of our friendly worms. So rats, they eat away the earthworms, so that it has to be avoided. And this is some picture from the field. So I was working on a DST project, a Department of Science and Technology project, where we had to initiate such entrepreneurial activities for the villagers in this was, I believe, in Dokkin Dinajpur, yes, in a place in a village called Amrita Kondo. And here is our community resource person. So we don't have to go there. We can communicate with them over the hybrid technology using our mobile phones and our laptops, and they get the training from here, and they deploy their entrepreneurial activities over there. So as you can see, they have the pit ready, and they also have the worms, and they are digging a hole into the pit. So after a month of keeping all the organic refuse in that vermi pit, it becomes like that. So it becomes, as you can see, it has become like very fine particles, and now they're digging a hole, and they're depositing the pit, the the earthworms into the pit. Okay, I have just been notified that I'm exceeding the time, so I'll be trying to keeping it short, and I'll try to wrap it up pretty fast. And once you're depositing it, we cover it up, and then we use some burlap sacks to cover it up, and the villagers can keep it as such for 1 month, so they can go about the daily activities, and you have your vermicompost. So after 1 month, I have a video for you from a village. So this is in Jhargram, and these are PVTG tribes, and they have generated vermicomposting. So once the earthworms are done with the compost is like tea leaves, and it is rendered odorless, and it is very fine to touch. So this is the ready vermicompost from their village, and this so here you have a picture from the another vermicompost from Dinajpur. So this is from also from Dakhin Dinajpur, where they have the ready vermicompost with the worms. And once it is ready, what they do is the villagers, they scoop it up, they make a pyramid on one side. As you can see, they made a pyramid. So what happens? The earthworms, they are highly photosensitive. So they always try to dig deep into the soil. So once you make the pyramid, the earthworms all go down. So you can scoop up your vermicompost in that way. So they're bagging it, and once they have bagged it, it's a very basic. This is one of the plots with the demonstration plot which we had made in Bakura. So this is in Bakura, where the women So as you can see, the villagers, so that was a lady called Chompa Tudu. She's from Bakura, and she has been a leader in the activities in her village. So they have generated about 100 kgs of this vermicompost in the last month, which they plan to bag and sell. And the vermicompost is roughly sells for about 25 rupees per kilo. So they are looking at yeah, it is a start. It's nothing big, but it is a start for them, and they're pretty excited to set up their next vermi pit. So they have also sold some of their pit is in such a good condition that the earthworms have started reproducing, and they have also sold some half of the earthworms to other interested people. So they have not only generated some exchequer through the sale of vermicompost, but they have also generated some exchequer through the sale of the worms. So that is how IBRAD is facilitating them. And I will not bore you anymore with the workings of IBRAD and how we are creating linkages. But it's the basic idea that what we are thinking, we are thinking very simple, and we are thinking about action-oriented research. So if there is any take-home message you take from the slides I presented today, is for all the people who are thinking about, all the friends, my colleagues, and whoever is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, you have to think simple, and you have to think action-oriented research, action-oriented goals, and action-oriented milestones. That is the way to obtain your goals. Thank you very much for your for your time.
So thank you, Dr. Sourav Dutta. That was quite insightful, and that was a great presentation, I would say, bringing the grassroots level
Thank you.
onto the classroom, which is very much needed. So I'm sure the students would love to explore this area of sustainability, which you have delved upon, especially the UN 17 UN SDGs. Incidentally, one of our students got an award a few months back in one of the interventions, and I would take the opportunity to also connect her to you. And she is trying to do something with mushroom cultivation.
Okay.
So maybe you can guide her in the future process. But as of now, let's open the house to questions. So students, if you would like to talk to Dr. Datta and figure out your next big farm to fork initiative. So any questions pertaining to the presentation, pertaining to agricultural sector, pertaining to biofertilizers, and a host of thoughts that Dr. Datta has left you with. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions, or you can send your questions on the chat box. Okay, I think they would be taking time to digest all that tech aspects that you have dealt upon, the biotechnology aspect. I have a question for you, Dr. Datta. Now,
Yes,
when
please.
it comes to biofertilizers and bioenzyme-based activations, what are the options that we have? Because I happen to have a cleaner company, and when I go to people, I find it difficult to explain the process to them. They look for certifications. It's difficult to get certifications in India. Yes, there are certain certifying companies abroad, agencies abroad like EcoCert and all in France, but then could you throw some light as to what kind of certifications can we get in India when it comes to anything to do with bioenzymes or biofertilizers?
For us, what we are looking forward is not that much into the bioenzyme technology, as you can understand from my presentation. So we are looking at the very grassroots beginner level, and we are not looking for a mass, making a mass market out of these kind of fertilizers. So when we are going for, of course, there'll be certain kind of government agencies which will always want to check the NPK percentage of your fertilizers when you want to sell them, but we are not looking for that big a market. For us, for IBRAD particularly, we are focused more on generating a sustainable way for these people, for this simple village folk, and the PVTG, the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, to earn a livelihood. It provides a sustenance for them and also a livelihood. Coming back to your question, sir, what you are looking forward is, I believe, bioenzymes. So these bioenzymes for cleaning, bioenzymes for cleaning. So I am. It will be prudent to say that I know a lot about bioenzymes, and I will not be assuming that I know a lot about bioenzymes. But of course, whenever we want to, sell something, to deploy something on a market, we need to go for certain kind of certifications. So I am sure there will be certain kind of certifications which I am, I'm sorry, unaware of at this point of time.
Okay, thank you for that input. Even we are trying to figure it out. So I would get in touch with you offline, just in case we can together figure out a method by which we can do these testings in India. I'm sure there are a lot of interventions that needs to be done. Social sector is one sector which employs 70%
Yes.
of the workforce, contributes to nearly 20% of India's GDP. 70% people of India stay in the rural areas, and agriculture and the bio aspect is one of the SDGs, or a few of the SDGs put together. So it's a very big focus area, and I'm sure that should call for a revolution, because uh, today, as we speak, all big companies in supply chain are looking at backward integration, are looking at a farm to fork model to maximize profit and efficiency. So I'm sure your research is going to pave the way for how corporations look at agricultural sector, and how the grassroots level people are also able to collaborate and form kind of bodies by which they can transform the way they look at agriculture itself, instead of looking at it at a piecemeal level. So thank you so much for that insightful session. And I would
Thank you,
like to
sir.
take this opportunity to thank everybody who has been present. Professor Zaman from Techno India. I would like to thank Professor Prasunjit Pramanik and Professor Preetam Mukherjee from Techno India University for putting this beautiful session together and helping us to uh, touch upon the aspirations of entrepreneurial aspirations of our students. And I would like to again thank Professor Amitabha Gupta for his wonderful deliberation onto the incubation space, and last but not the least, a wonderful session, and a much needed session, I would say, because people in urban cities do not understand the rural India so much. So it's important to take a sneak peek at the rural India to understand the opportunities that lay beyond the urban landscapes, and explore rural India, because that's where the money is there. That's where the money has to be made. So thank you so much. And I wish you a great evening. And we look forward to more such sessions from Techno India and NSHM collaboration. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, all of you. So we are looking forward for more sessions. So we will again join tomorrow. I think it's Dr. Preetam Mukherjee's session from NSHM, right?
Yes, tomorrow at 5
Yes,
o'clock.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. So all of you, the session is over. So all of you can log out of the session. We will send across the certificates which has been put into the database where you have registered. So you can get in touch with Techno India or with me for the certificates. Thank you so much.